All right. First and foremost, I want to start off by saying, Baruch Yahweh, Baruch Yahweh Shai, Baruch Yahweh, Baruch Yahweh Shai, Baruch Yahweh, Baruch Yahweh Shai, Call Halal Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles of GMS, Great Millstone, who rule well and who taught me this truth. And shalom to you, sincere Akim, out there listening, learning, and pushing this truth. And shalom to the few sincere Akwath that are out there listening and learning as well. With that being said, I'm going to jump straight into this video. I don't want to ratazah. It'll be edifying. As usual, I'm going to go into Rakah Kwadash. And I'm entitled this lesson, Happy Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth. All right? And we know it's a bullshit holiday. First and foremost, we know allegedly it's about, supposedly, let's read it. It says Juneteenth is a federal holiday in the United States commemorating the emancipation of enslaved Africans, deriving its name from the combining of June and 19th. It is celebrated on the anniversary of the order by Major General Gordon Granger proclaiming freedom for enslaved people in Texas, June 19th, 1865, right? Which we know this is all bullshit. Smoke and mirrors. You know how this devil gets down. His words are smoother than butter, but war's in his heart. And he's really, and remember, he has a perpetual hatred against you tribes, against his brother Jacob, all right? And this is nothing more than a spit in your face, man. Again, the words of his mouth are smoother than butter, but war's in his heart. Hey, real quick, we know Juneteenth is today, June 19th, right? It's the 19th is Juneteenth, but isn't it ironic that we celebrate Juneteenth during the month of so-called Pride Month, all right? Which is a spit in your face, man. They're lumping you in once again. They always trying to that community, that happy people community, is always trying to ride the back of Yasharallah, man. Okay, they're always trying to wiggle themselves in, man, in some way, shape, or form, through civil rights, affirmative action. That's nothing more than they always using you tribes as a guise, and you tribes fall for it every time. You got during Black Lives Matter, who's marching with them? A lot of you, them happy people, was marching during so-called Black Lives Matter. All right. So again, this whole Juneteenth thing is nothing more than a slap in your goddamn face, man. A spit in your face, man. Again, it's celebrated in June 19th, right? So this is Pride Month, which we know we're in the middle of Pride Month. It says Pride Month. I don't even want to read it. I don't want to get, I don't want to get the video stricken. You know what it is. It's up on the screen. You know what it is, man. And I actually, I didn't even know that. As you can see, the origins of it, the concept of Pride Month began with the Stonewall riots, a series of riots for happy liberation that took place over several days on June 28th, 1969. I didn't even know that. Okay, the riots began after a police raid at the Stonewall Inn, a happy bar located within Lower Manhattan in New York City. I didn't even know about this, man. I had no idea. But anyway, this is not about Happy Month. This is about Juneteenth, right? It's commemorating again the so-called freeing of the slaves, right? Which we bring it out all the time. We know the Emancipation Proclamation was nothing more than a transference of ownership. All right? Abraham Lincoln did not free the slaves. What he did was he transferred ownership from the private southern slave owners, that owned the plantations. And they, remember the South was doing good, man. The South had real money. Okay, it was all about money, man. Because we know real money is what? Silver, gold, land, livestock, and people, men, women, and children. That's what you read in Revelation, the souls of men. right? So the South had real money, and a lot of it, through what? Slave labor, free labor. That's what made America truly great. It was built up off the back of you tribes. Free slave labor, all profit. Okay? You see? You see? So what Lincoln did was he transferred the ownership of the slaves from the southern private slave owners to the government. Okay? And also he made all of the citizens of the United States, including his damn brother, Esau Edom, his own brother, he made them slaves to the government through these adhesion contracts, birth certificates, social security numbers, all these apparatuses, these contracts that were designed to track you, because you were nothing more than property. You became property. See, Jake, from the inception of America, Jake was always property. We were the first things insured and traded on Wall Street in New York on the stock market. Negroes, the first stocks were Negroes, man. So we've always been property. But what Lincoln did was he opened the floodgates so that all the citizens would now become property. Because the South was so-called free. Ain't that ironic? The South was free, man. They were free to do whatever the hell they wanted. Pretty much. You see? The North was already Union. That's why they called it the Union. And who was chiefly in power or was doing good in the North? The so-called affluent people, man. You had a lot of politicians, you had a lot of noble people that were in the North, The South was so-called what we call them now, blue collar workers, man. But they were really making their money off of their farms, their plantation, growing cotton, so on and so forth, man. And they were rich because, again, they had slave labor, free labor. Okay, they had breeding farms. So this is enough ranting. Hopefully that made sense. This is the etymology. You got to go to the etymology of the word, because if you Google it, it's just going to tell you, his words, smoother than butter. Oh, it's free and bullshit. No, the origins of the word comes from the Latin, right? And it means, as you can see, transferred as property. Okay? Transferred as property. And that's what he did. He transferred ownership from the private slave citizens, the private slave owners, to the government. You became property of the U.S. government, okay? And he did that through these adhesion contracts, okay? So this is the definition of an adhesion contract. It says an adhesion contract is a legal agreement that is drafted by one party but not the other. This means that the party signing the agreement had no chance to bargain for the agreement terms. Instead, it is a take it or leave it situation. And that's what this birth certificate is. That's what your social security number, when the social security whole thing is about. Now you're under contract. You're bound legally by the law because you signed that birth certificate. You got to abide by the rules and stipulations of it. That's why for example, for men, if you sign a birth certificate for a child and it turns out that child is not yours, legal, through DNA, you do a DNA test, you find out little Billy or little Sally is not your child. Guess what? You're still legally responsible for that child. Why? Because you signed that birth certificate. There's fine print in that. You're bound by the law. You didn't agree to it. You didn't sit down and bargain and that birth certificate, which we all have, right? If you're a citizen of America, right? It was drafted up way before you were even thought of. Well, no, they thought about you, but they didn't have your best interests at heart. Okay? You see? And all these things, birth certificates, social security numbers, all these things came about after so-called emancipation. All right, right. So we know real quick, not too long. This is stuff we know already, through the elders and apostles, who rule well. They bring this stuff out all the time. But it was on my mind. I said, let me do a lesson on it. I don't want to rot this out. It's edifying. I already knew it, but when you see things, it subs with you, and it sticks with you more. Okay, the proof is in the pudding. You gotta search the scriptures, search things, give diligence to see if things are true, so that you'll be fully persuaded in your own mind. You don't want to just be a parroting things. You want to do the legwork, so you know what you're talking about with confidence. So Salakia, my allergies is fucking with me today, not more than Satan. But anyway, let's get through this. So again, the emancipation, we already established Juneteenth is nothing more than smoke and mirrors, man. Lincoln did not free the slaves. He transferred ownership, from the private slave owners to the government. All right, and he in turn put everybody in subjection, all the citizens under these, and it allowed all these citizens now to be under these adhesion contracts. All right, which came about after the Civil War. Ain't that a coinky dink? So we know the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, as you can see. Let's read a little bit of it. President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. So if that's the case, why are we not celebrating Juneteenth? Why isn't Juneteenth January 10th or something like that? Why is it in June? Well, I done told you why. Because it has nothing to do with Yasharallah, really. It's really a big middle finger to you. Just like Black History Month. That's a big middle finger to you tribes. They gave you the fucking shortest month of the year. By far, because February, we know it's a leap month, okay? So they gave you the shortest month, and to celebrate your so-called, Black Pride or whatever the fuck they want to call it, which we know we're not black, we're different shades of brown. But anyway, that's a whole nother can of worms. So again, it's a big Juneteenth is nothing more than a big middle finger to Jake, man, and Jake gobble it up, man. Jake gobble it up, because Esau give you little so-called gifts, but a gift destroys the heart, man. So again, Emancipation Proclamation. President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. Note the year, 1863. As the nation approached its third year of bloody civil war, the proclamation declared that all persons held as slaves within the rebellious states are henceforward shall be free. But he didn't free us. He gave ownership over to the government. You see? Which the North was already unionized. That's what the Civil War was about. The Confederates, the South versus the North, the Union. You see? These United States of America. Okay? You see? And if you the learned men of the South, the learned Confederates, because they like to put this, they like to paint a picture of these Southern men as being, retarded and stupid and backwards. They weren't. They were highly educated, just like the North was. You had prominent schools in the South, man, for Edomites. Okay, they weren't ignorant of the law. Ulysses S. Grant and so on and so forth. These weren't ignorant men. They knew damn well what the hell was going on. Okay? You see? And that's why they were willing to risk it all for their property, their money, their livelihood. They understood what was gonna happen. They understood what they were really fighting for. You see? So again, that was in 1863 so-called Emancipation Proclamation, right? So now let's check this out. Matter of fact, before I get to well, you already saw it. A quick little Google when the Social Security number came about, right? And it was established. It says the Social Security number was created in 1936 for the sole purpose of tracking the earnings for the sole purpose of tracking earning histories of U.S. workers. All right, and again, that's after the so-called Emancipation Proclamation. So prior to that, all that money, all that wealth that was being generated in the South, there was really no tracking system. You really couldn't tell how much, you know, a so-called family or a plantation or whatever was making. You know. And then what came shortly after that? Taxing. You know, you had the income tax came about, which was a so-called war tax. You know. This man, this devil, man, he's the devil the Bible speaks of through his policy, you know. Anyway, this is what I wanted first, though, but, you know, check it out also. Another quick Google, when did the U.S. start the birth certificate, right? So it says the federal, because they always was records of births, but it was like the plantation owner would have it, you know. Sally Mae, you know, gave birth to 3 Negro children. You know, a boy, 2 boys and a girl, you know, so on and so forth. You know, they kept records, but it wasn't a matter of fact. That's where the Census Bureau came about. The Census Bureau is did I pull that one? The United States Census Bureau, right? The United States Census Bureau is who's behind the birth certificate and Social Security, so on and so forth. You know, this also was. Let's read it off of Wikipedia. United States Census Bureau. The United States Census Bureau, officially Bureau of Census, which we know is wicked. You're not supposed to count the people. You know, King David got in trouble for that. Numbering Yasharallah is a principal agency of the U.S. federal government, again, federal, the U.S. federal statistical system responsible for producing data about the American people and economy. Okay, so let's look. When it was created. Formed 1902. Again, that's after the so-called Emancipation Proclamation. All right? You see? This man is a goddamn devil. You know? He's slick, man. He's slick. Slicker than an oil can. Like the elders call him, Oil Can Harry. That's really Esau. So it says, Salakia. This is back to the birth certificate. The federal government first developed a standard because they had other birth certificates, but they standardized it, you know, and sent it out to all 50 states. And this was after the Emancipation Proclamation. All these things, adhesion contracts, all these bureaus, the FBI, all this bullshit came about after it's all really about control and controlling the money. You know, the Federal Reserve control. It's all about controlling of the money. You know, this digital system that they're setting up, spearheaded by the Karagma, this RFID CHIP. It's all about control, and we know people is money. You know, that's a form of money. It's people. So it says the federal government first developed a standard birth certificate application form in 1907, 5 years after the Census Bureau began collecting data, because the Census Bureau is who's really behind it. Okay, so all these things, all these adhesion contracts and government agencies came about, you know, after again the 1863. Salakia. 1863, all right? And again, it's nothing more, it's getting kind of long. It's nothing, I pretty much hit the point. It's nothing more than about controlling the money, okay? And people are money, okay? You know? Souls of men, you know? So, we're going to close out here, read 2 scriptures and call it a day. I don't want to rot his eye was edifying. Again, this whole happy Juneteenth. And now we understand Juneteenth is nothing more than a goddamn big ass middle finger to you goddamn tribes, you know. Pride Month, you know, in the heart of Pride Month, you know, and you're not free. We are not free, which I'm gonna close with Baruch. We are yet this day in captivity. So, this is a main scripture that we like to, Deuteronomy 28. We know that it starts with the blessings and then it ends with the curses, for our disobedience, So I'm going to close out here. Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again, modern day Egypt, which is America, Babylon the Great, spiritually Sodom and Egypt. Okay? Egypt representing bondage. And the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again, not ancient, not Egypt over there in Africa, modern day Egypt, which is spiritually America, spiritually Sodom and Egypt. And the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, cargo slave ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more. Again, our homeland, the land which you know as Palestine, Israel, Jerusalem, as a whole, the nation would not go back. You see? It says, and there ye shall be sold, where? In Egypt, modern day Egypt, America, right there on Wall Street, the first stocks sold on Wall Street, Negroes for sale, Ebos for sale, okay? Thou shalt, it says, and the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, he's our enemy, our chief adversary. He has a perpetual hatred against his brother Jacob, and did pursue him with the sword to this day. And you gonna see that, man, when this devil fully rolls out this new world order. He gonna come in as a flood. He gonna show his true colors. You forgot who you dealing with. You forgot how he brought you over here and what he brought your black ass over here for, to build this goddamn kingdom up. Okay? Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. He's not your friend, he's your enemy. Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai put a cruel nation over us to punish us. He's Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai's whipping stick on the left-hand side. He's the sword of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. This goddamn devil. It says, and there ye shall be sold on auctioning blocks, right? Unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. And no man shall buy you, meaning free you. No one would save us. No one would get us. No man. No Marcus Garvey. No Martin Luther King. No Malcolm X. Nobody. No Jesse Jackson. No Al Sharpton. No one would free us. The only one that's going to free us is Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. That's what he's coming to do, to redeem Yasharallah. And this particular go around, the elect of Yasharallah. He's going to free us. So again it says, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Alright? So I'm going to close out here. I don't want to rot this out. This was edifying. Hey man, keep pushing, keep fighting. We're close. Baruch 3 and 8. Behold, we are yet this day in captivity. It's like we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, with proverbs and bywords. We're the filth of the world, right? That's why Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai said, gather yourselves together, O nation not desired. That's us, man. You tribes, you so-called Negroes, West Indians, Haitians, Latinos, Hispanics, North American Seminole Indians, and wherever we're scattered amongst the heathens, the Israelite foreigners. You're a curse and a reproach also. They got a derogatory name for all of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai's children. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments under these adhesion contracts that we didn't agree to. It was take it or leave it, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord out of one our power Yahweh. And we are our fathers, coming back in the third or fourth generation, because reincarnation is biblical. We went off. We disobeyed Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. We broke the covenant. We broke the agreement by whoring after these gods, these idols, these heathens, following behind the heathens, And he punished us by putting this goddamn devil Esau Edom over us. The cruelest nation ever, man. You know? That showed no remorse to the old, the young. You know? Man, woman, he don't give a damn. His desire is as hell. He's the red horse coming to take peace from the earth. But guess what? Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is about to recompense this devil. That's the good news. This is our last bid. You know? Affliction shall not rise a second time. Hey, man, so keep pushing, keep fighting. We're close. Shalom. Wa abad babal. Kwam Yasharallah.